When I met Bill and Sheila Wall in late August, the investigation into their son's death was at a standstill.
You're here to help us find some answers.
We just want to know what happened to Andrew and find out who was with him in his final hours.
They last saw Andrew on Christmas Day, 2022. He talked of letting a homeless man stay with him on that frigid night. Bill last spoke to him the next day for less than a minute about multiple charges showing up on his credit card.
He said he hadn't had any issues and kind of brushed me off and said, seemed a little agitated and said, "I'll talk to you later."
And that was it. The next thing they knew, Andrew's found dead inside this Price Hill apartment. His toxicology saying that it was of an accidental fentanyl and cocaine overdose.
There was no any drug residue or paraphernalia found. So that means, to me, the scene was cleaned up. And we know that someone was there because they took everything of value.
The credit card had nearly $2,000 worth of smaller charges at gas stations or for food between the 26th and 29th. And that later date's important because the Walls learned months afterward that Andrew was admitted to the hospital the morning of the 28th for an opioid overdose.
And the police did tell us that 911 calls were made from his phone. You could hear Andrew's voice in the background. So we know Andrew went to the hospital. He was released a couple hours later. We don't know how he got back to his apartment. Had an overdose. That doesn't make sense to us.
None of it made sense to Brianna Sturm, Andrew's best friend.
You're telling me that there's no camera footage at the hospital, the parking lots, the EMTs that went there. There's no record of the EMTs picking him up. That's a joke.
I first talked with Bree via Zoom while she was in Vietnam, bouncing around Southeast Asia to spread Andrew's ashes. Right after Andrew's death, Bree took to TikTok, where some of her questions, comments, and concerns about her friend went viral and sparked interest from the true crime podcast, Culpable. They put out a 2-part pod in mid-August, which is how I was introduced to the case.
We'll do everything we can to make the best of his life and the time that he had here, and also get answers to finally put his name at rest, that he's not just this story, he's a person again. To add to the strangeness of this story, 2 weeks after his death, Andrew's car was found here near the downtown Cincinnati library, and his parents don't have any reason to think that he is the one who drove it here. The Walls tracked down at least one person they believe was in Andrew's apartment. They gave that name to police, but they don't know if he was ever questioned.
I know the police don't think they have enough evidence to charge anybody. They told us that there's only two people that know what happened, Andrew and the person that he was with.
And to be clear, the Walls aren't saying that this was murder or even foul play, but they do believe there are puzzle pieces missing.
And yet the police aren't questioning any of those components that don't make sense.
It's hard to know what police have done or believe happened. When I asked Cincinnati police initially for 911 calls, body camera footage, or reports from January 3rd, I was just told it's under investigation. Further requests with Cincinnati police via email to speak with detectives or answer questions via email have gone unanswered.
We have all these questions, and the police don't seem to have any questions.
You didn't even have the full autopsy.
Right.
For Andrew.
Correct.
Wow.
So yes, we thank you for getting that for us.
But even that just left more questions.
I need to know what happened to move forward, I think. Just what happened. It's just that looming, always questioning. If we could get any answers would be great.
Adrian Whitsett, WCPO 9 News.